Hello, everyone. I'm Jamie Burse, CEO at Zero, the End of Prostate Cancer, and I want to welcome you to our first ever virtual Zero Prostate Cancer Run Walk.
I'm Caitlin Murphy, Zero's Mid-Atlantic Chapter Director, and we are coming to you from our nation's capital, Washington, D.C.
And I'm Dr. Nilay Gandhi of Potomac Urology, and I'm also the race director for this amazing event. And we have quite the celebration in store for you today.
We certainly do. Today is all about celebrating everyone here in the Washington, D.C. area who has been helping prostate cancer patients stay zero strong during the COVID-19 pandemic. We'll also have a Bold for Blue spotlight that you won't want to miss.
And our DC Run Walk would not be complete without Washington Wizards color analyst Glenn Concert. Glenn is a prostate cancer survivor and an advocate for men's health, and he's always up to something fun. I can't wait to catch up with him later in the show.
And of course, the entire reason we're all virtual this year is because of the COVID-19 pandemic. So I'm going to talk a little bit about how this crisis has affected our prostate cancer community, as well as how it has affected our urology practice, Potomac Urology, and how we are handling all of the changes and what you as patients need to know about these changes.
I'm incredibly proud to be part of this virtual celebration. Zero's entire Run Walk series has had to undergo some massive changes in the last few weeks. But we're excited, not only for all of you DC area run walkers, but for everyone joining from cities all around the country, maybe even all around the globe. Be sure to tell us in the comments where you're watching from. And if you're watching on Facebook, please be sure to share this video right now. And you can even host a watch party so you can raise awareness and gain support for patients by getting more people involved in the action today.
For those of you who are running, walking, or doing some real creative fundraising today, we want to see it all. So be sure to post on all of your social media channels, and don't forget to tag Zero and use the hashtag ZeroStrong. Our social media producers are looking for you, so don't be shy. We want you.
We have to say thank you to all of our local partners. We have Advantagene, Dendreon, Perineologic, Amgen, Radiation Oncology Associates, Healthtronics, Exact Sciences, the Andrew Jackson Lodge number 120, Dr. Kokalis, DMD and Associates, Walmart Store 3304, Blue Earth Diagnostics, and Janssen. This DC Run Walk would not have been possible without all of your support. We greatly thank you.
We also want to thank our magnificent national partners, Astellas, Pfizer Oncology, Bayer, Tolmar, FixIncontinence.com, edcure.org, and SpaceOr Hydrogel.
And a huge shout out to our premier partner, AbbVie, who you'll be hearing from later. So guys, I am pumped and I am ready. Let's officially begin the first ever virtual Zero Prostate Cancer Run Walk coming to you from Washington, D.C.
Let's do this. All right. Woo.
These are very nice.
They're really good. Can't believe I have 4 of them, right? They're so good.
Oh, sorry. We didn't see you there. We were just looking at our trophies from last year. I'm Thomas Philibin.
And I'm Laurel Philibin of Team Philibin. Last year we had such an incredible turnout and a wonderful time at the walk.
This year things are a little different, but we're still sharing our support and fundraising in other ways, like this cool hat.
We're so excited to host our own neighborhood walk today with our family and friends in a very special yet responsible way.
And we've continued the same fundraising, engagement, and support of prostate cancer awareness through Zero and things like this amazing hat.
We're staying zero strong for John and anyone who's fighting or has been affected by prostate cancer. Thank you to everyone who has supported Team Philibin.
And good luck to everyone who's running, walking, and fundraising throughout the DC area, whether they have one of these amazing hats or not. This is the audio and video test.
What?
Let's kick off our first ever virtual Zero Prostate Cancer Run Walk celebration with a Bold for Blue spotlight. I have the absolute pleasure of introducing one of the team captains of Team Aware, Greg Robertson. Greg, thank you so much for being here today.
It's great to be here today, Caitlin. It really is. It's great to be here. My name is Gregory. Actually, it's Gregory Robertson, but everybody calls me Greg.
That's right. Your friends call you Greg. Everybody calls you Greg.
Right.
All right. So you have been coming up to the DC race for years. So tell us a little bit about your team name, and how you found out about us.
Okay. The way I found out about this, about you all, was back in 2010. My cousin Al Peoples, we call him DD. He the one got me involved in it, and I was coming up every year. I was there, and he decided that he'll just go ahead and give me the title of being the team captain, due to the fact I was raising the money. I started off early. I don't wait till the last minute.
That's right.
And he said, well, I'll tell you what, you take over to be the team captain. And I said, okay. So that's how I got involved in it. But it's just that, it's something that I wanted to do. And I put my heart and soul to it and everything.
Yeah. And it means a lot for you and your family to get checked for prostate cancer, and especially with Al too, right?
Yes. Because he discovered that he had it, I think was in 2010. And I discovered, well, mine was back in 2008, but I was hard-headed. I got mad with the reception at the doctor's office and wouldn't go back. And I think around 2010 is when my regular physician told me that he still wasn't pleased with my blood work.
Yeah.
And he wanted to know that I follow up with the specialist. And I told him no. And I told him what happened. But I said, if this is what I need to do, go ahead and set it up. So in 2011 is when I had the surgery.
Yeah.
The robotic, I can't pronounce it, but the robotic whatever with Dr. Gravy.
Yeah, that's right. And since then, you have been coming up to the race. Even though you're from North Carolina, you come to support your cousin in Washington, D.C.
Exactly. And then after a while, I found out that Zero was coming down his way, coming to North Carolina. And Dr. Gravy was trying to get me, won't you come and join us in November? I said, I'll think about it. But I had already raised my money for DC, which I know part of the money is coming down here too.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
So speaking of the money, people have had to get really creative with their fundraising this year, but you have been able to keep it old school. So how do you keep encouraging all of your donors to stay involved, and why is it still important to fundraise during these unprecedented times?
Well, everybody knows that I'm a survivor of 9 years, and I tell them that, I do this due to the fact I never know when I may have to use the funds. And so, everybody sort of comes back to me. They be getting letters from Zero, but they say, oh, I got a letter from Zero. Don't do anything until I tell you to do something. So that's how I'm still with the old school.
I love it.
It's a lot of fun, and I do appreciate it, and thank all my co-workers and the ones that I've worked with, and of course the store supporting me with the fundraising.
That's right. Yeah, Walmart store 3304 has been supporting you for the past 5 years. So generous of them.
Yes.
Yeah. Do you have any messages or advice to send out to other patients or survivors who are going through this at this time?
Well, only thing I can say is that I know a lot of us men don't like to go to the doctors, but we need to. We need to make sure that our children our sons are being checked, from 25 years up, due to the fact I know that they say 50 years old, but with the doctor that I was talking to, Dr. Gray them, they told me, he said sometimes these things started up at the age of 25. It's very slow moving, but if we get ourselves checked early, just like I did, although I was in stage 1 and they got it all, but for the past year now, I'm be honest with you, my PSA has been moving up, and I do have to do radiation, in which I go in June the 23rd, as far as the appointment with the doctor to find out exactly when these radiations are going to start.
Yeah.
But I just advise that all the men need to make sure they keep themselves checked every year on this.
And don't get in fights with receptionists.
Exactly like I did.
Oh my goodness. Well, Greg, thank you so much for being with us today. Thank you for all that you do for the prostate cancer community. I'm sending you such a big virtual hug. I'm so sad I can't hug you in person, but thank you so much for being here.
All right.
Thank you to all of our fundraisers. We absolutely could not do it without you. Thank you.
Okay.
Welcome back, everyone, to our virtual Zero Prostate Cancer Run Walk celebration here in Washington, D.C. We are so fortunate that our race director is also a urologist. Dr. Gandhi, I think it's important we take a few minutes to talk about why we've gone virtual today, and that's simply because of COVID-19.
Yeah, so, I mean, as we all know, we're in the middle of a global pandemic here, and I think this really changed a lot of what we expected from in a medical profession, but also for our patients and our staff. And the first priority for my practice, Potomac Urology, was always to our staff and to our patients. And being in healthcare, I think our patients would always look to us for guidance and advice in these unprecedented times. And honestly, Caitlin, I mean, what made this tougher was even experts were uncertain as to the impact of the pandemic or even the duration. I think there was a lot of uncertainty out there, and that, I think, is what really kind of propagated a lot of fear regarding this pandemic. And so I think everyone, across the world was just forced to close shop and reevaluate what would be ultimately the safest. And I've got to bring this up. I won't forget it because Caitlin, I don't know if you remember, but you actually came to my office the day that we were starting to shut everything down and things were somewhat chaotic, and you came to help promote this event. We were still planning on doing a whole capital area run walk as we normally do, and you had some swag bags for us, and you were ready to start with kind of promoting this. And I think you took one look and you were just kind of like, I don't think this is the right time. So that's kind of how I remember how this really all started. So,
yeah, I mean, to see, it was absolutely crazy. And I think in that moment, we all knew that this year was going to look completely different. Right. And that includes your practice being completely different. So how have things changed for your patients and for your staff?
Yeah. So, at that time, that I think that was right at the middle of March or so. And I'm just very proud of our administrators, our staff, our employees, everybody, because we were able to start closing our office, I believe, on that Thursday or Friday. And by Monday, we were up and running with televisits. We were contacting all of our patients to cancel their appointments, let them know that we're doing televisits. And honestly, kind of, we were forced to adapt as a medical profession to be able to offer this technology, but our patients were also forced to adapt to have to figure out, how do I do a doctor's visit from my phone or my laptop or my desktop? What if I don't have camera access? There's been so many of these changes, I think, that have really revolutionized where the medical field will be going and certain changes that are happening now. And I think that it's for the better. It's better for the healthcare system, but it's allowed us to be a little closer with the patients. You get an intimate look into their day-to-day. I've had some patients who were at work, some who were in the car, some who were in their basement. And I remember seeing a painting of a basketball player in the background. And so we started talking about our love for sports. And so you really got a glimpse into the patients that's a little different than the traditional doctor-patient setting. So it's been interesting, but, we've really, the pandemic is still going on, and our office has incorporated a lot of features, mainly for safety of our staff and our patients. And a lot of those are really doing daily temperature monitoring. We do virtual check-ins where we contact patients either by phone or text when to come in, trying to really minimize how many people are in our waiting rooms, so that we can, again, try to be as safe as possible for everyone.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And we know some prostate cancer patients have postponed or paused certain aspects of their treatment. And I know you touched on this a little bit before, but I know that we really want to drive this home. That does not mean pausing or stopping consults with doctors, right?
Right. Absolutely. I mean, one of the things that, we really have to understand is COVID-19 has really forced us to pause and take a step back. But, cancer in general, and specifically we're talking about prostate cancer on this segment, is that it does not stop due to a pandemic. And this is something that we really have to keep in mind, because it's easy to lose track of that. We say, okay, well, let's just pause everything. But we really have to keep in mind our cancer patients. And what I feel very fortunate is that we work very closely with one of our silver sponsors, Radiation Oncology Associates. And when this pandemic started and our offices were closing, we all had a virtual, Zoom, like we're all doing now, a virtual Zoom conference. And we discussed each and every single one of our prostate cancer patients. And then we reached out to them to come up with a plan. One, to let them know that, we still were thinking about them, but two, that we haven't forgotten and that cancer still does need to be treated. And we were able to kind of broach the topic in that form.
Yeah. So the DC area is slowly starting to phase in some openings of restaurants, stores, and other public places. So what is your advice for prostate cancer patients and their families right now?
Yeah, so I think I would still encourage, everyone to continue to follow the guidelines established by the CDC. Like I mentioned earlier, there's still a lot of unknown about this, about the coronavirus and kind of what to expect over these next few months as the state and the country start to open up. And the concern is always for the emergence of newer cases. So, I know everyone wants to get out of the house. People are sick of being in the house, whether they've been working from home or quarantined, and want to go to the local restaurant or even the local pub. But there's still many ways to support local businesses in a safe manner. So, I implore everyone to continue with the safe techniques that we've all been incorporating, such as, hand washing, the use of hand sanitizers. I think it's very important making sure that there's at least 60% alcohol in those hand sanitizers. That's what's been shown to be effective. And wearing masks, trying to still limit your social contacts. We want to still try and implement these because, like I mentioned, there's a lot of unknown, and we really want everyone to be as safe as possible.
Yeah, so well put. So let's switch gears a little bit and talk about you and Potomac Urology and your participation in the DC Run Walk. This event is very personal for you and your staff and giving back to the patients, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I love this event. I feel like my whole office loves this event. That there's nothing more fulfilling than seeing all of these men, the caregivers, family, friends, everyone celebrating prostate cancer survivorship. And, this is why we do what we do, is for something like this. I'll never forget one of the first races I came to and running that 5K and seeing some of my patients, and they'll high five you and just kind of celebrate, like, good to see you out here, doc. And, just seeing them in that setting is the reason we do this. And so this event always serves as a celebration. We always have a lot of fun. I think, Caitlin, you were kind of a big part of last year when you kind of set up a fundraiser for reaching a certain donation amount, and I would get pied in the face. So congratulations, you did make that happen. So, my practice administrator, MJ, loved doing that. And so, but this event really brings our practice closer to our patients and the community. And it allows a lot of fun fundraising competition within our office too, and our employees.
Yeah. And we hope that we'll all be together in person for the 2021 Run Walk. But as a race director, aren't you inspired by the amazing support that we've seen so far for virtual, given all the obstacles that people have been up against over the last few months?
No, absolutely. I mean, I am just amazed. I am in awe. I think, 2020 is going to stand as one of the most difficult times our generation has faced. If you think about we're hosting this celebration in the middle of a global pandemic. There's a large social movement against injustice and support for equality for all people occurring as we are having all of these. And I think it's worth us taking that moment to step back and understand kind of what's important in our lives, and to have this many people coming together, not just locally in the DC area, in the DMV, but nationally for this wonderful cause and event to help support prostate cancer survivorship, to help support prostate cancer research and awareness. I think that's truly amazing. And it just touches the heart in ways when good news is extremely needed and important. So I think we all stand here together, not just as one, DC capital area chapter, but as united chapters across the country, celebrating that which is important to us now more than ever.
Yeah, #ZeroStrong. That's so beautiful. Well, Dr. Gandhi, thank you for your dedication to Zero and, of course, the passion that Potomac Urology brings to helping prostate cancer patients and their families. Thank you for fighting on the front lines, this terrible disease. Is there anything else that you want to share with our participants and everybody watching today?
Yeah, I just, I appreciate all of the outreach, all of the awareness, the fundraising, the donations. We're in difficult times. This is just that time to really take that step back, love one another, and just really appreciate everything that we all have together in our lives. So thank you very much. And I just hope everyone has a great event. This is why these events occur, and we love everybody.
Yeah. Well, thanks again, Dr. Gandhi. And I want to say a special thank you again to all of our national and local sponsors, and especially to our premier sponsor, AbbVie. You've seen their logos throughout the celebration, and you'll see them again a little later. But we truly appreciate all that they've done to make this celebration a total success. Please, please, please go visit our virtual exhibit hall at ZEROcancer.run/DC. Learn all about them, how amazing they are, and the difference that they're making as well.
Hello everybody, welcome to the first ever virtual prostate cancer 5K run walk celebration. I'm Dr. Nilay Gandhi with Potomac Urology, and I'm here with Shawn Supers, and you all know her. She used to be our Mid-Atlantic chapter director, and she's moved on to some bigger things with Zero. But supporting our Pies for Prostates endeavor, Shawn volunteered to be my first guest, that if I hit $5,000, which I believe we did in a day, maybe 2 days. So thank you to every single one of you who donated. Because of that, Shawn Supers gets this pie to her face. Oh no!
Good morning, I'm Shasta Harris. I'm so excited to be here representing AbbVie. All of us at AbbVie are honored to be the premier partner with the Zero Run Walk series. It is truly important to be a part of this series and to help men with prostate cancer to fight for an end to this terrible disease. We are here today to support the patients, the survivors, the caregivers, all of the friends and family, to be here virtually all across the DC area and nationally, to be here virtually in this great event that Zero has put on for us. And we'd like to give a special shout out to Potomac Urology, who dedicate their time and talents every single day to patients with prostate cancer. So please come by the virtual exhibit hall, give us a visit there, and enjoy this special day and all the special things that Zero has put together for us. Have a great time.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our first ever virtual Zero Prostate Cancer Run Walk DC celebration. I'd like to introduce you to this year's mission speaker, Glenn Consar. Now, Glenn is a prostate cancer survivor, Emmy Award-winning color analyst for the Washington Wizards, Zero champion, and will be the recipient of a pie to the face later as a part of our Pies for Prostates challenge. Thank you so much for joining us, Glenn.
It's great to be here. I don't like not seeing you, though. I mean, I'm seeing you, but I'm not used to all the whole Zooming and WebEx meetings and all this other stuff. But I'm looking, hopefully we could see each other soon.
Yeah, hopefully soon. I agree. Well, Glenn, your story is so inspiring for all men who are battling prostate cancer. Can you share with everyone what your story is and what your journey's been?
You know, it's almost been a surreal thing. And I think anyone that has prostate cancer, or any kind of cancer for that matter, it is surreal because you don't believe you have it. When I was diagnosed, which was 6 years ago, I was running, 8 miles a day and lifting weights and, keeping in great shape. And, I didn't feel sick whatsoever. And, my journey with prostate cancer really was the fact that I kept getting my PSAs tested once a year during my physical, and they were fluctuating. I remember my GP, who wasn't a urologist, my GP said, well, look, we just need to watch this. And then it kept going up and up. And finally, he sent me to a urologist, and I had a biopsy. And even then, I was like, there's no way I have cancer. I feel great. I'll control it with medication, whatever. And, I don't think my journey is any different than anybody else's, except I was probably in more disbelief than anybody else. I didn't believe it. And it took a while for it to sink in and to do the research once you're diagnosed with prostate cancer, to do the research on what your therapy will be. Should I get my prostate removed? Should I have radiation treatments? There was just so many things going around, and I kept getting second opinions. And finally, I came to the realization that I needed to have surgery.
Yeah. And this is not your first time serving as the DC Run Walks mission speaker. However, as you mentioned a little before, we're not in person together. We can't hug each other. We're doing this virtually. So it's different from past races. We can reach even more men with your message. Now, what advice would you give men facing prostate cancer during this scary and uncertain time?
I think, this whole pandemic with COVID, we're obviously everybody's affected by this, what you can and can't do. We should be out running in this race and having all those people there. It's been an amazing fundraising race that we do. My advice would be, to let yourself be vulnerable, let yourself understand what's happening to you. I mean, I think I came from a position and a platform. Well, I think I'm going to just go on with my life, and whatever I have, I'll deal with it. But, it's a serious thing, and you can't take your PSA tests for granted.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you really have to get screened. You really have to stay with the screening process. If your doctor sees a slight elevation in the score, then you need, and if he says come back in 3 months, and normally it's every 6 months or a year, go back in 3 months. Don't play with it, because this is something that even though they say it's slow growing, well, it's not slow growing in some cases. So, and depending on the amount of cancer that is in your prostate will determine how quickly you need to get therapy for it. So my advice would be, a lot of times in boxing, there are defensive boxers who, they fight like this and they don't want to get hit with anything. And then when they see an opening, they'll throw a punch. Well, I think with prostate cancer, you got to drop your guards. You got to let people in your life, let the doctors in. Don't be vulnerable. Don't be defensive about it. Talk to as many people as you can, and do not play around with PSAs. You got to get that. You got to get screened. You got to get tested, and it's not a death sentence. And it doesn't mean you'll have to have surgery. It doesn't mean you'll need radiation. But just stay on it, just like you do with. Everyone should get physicals. Caitlin, when was the last time you had a physical?
Actually, I'm scheduled to get one in 2 weeks.
Okay. See, that's good. You're staying on top of it.
Yeah, I am, definitely. But I love that analogy that you mentioned about boxing. That was wonderful. Now let's switch gears a little bit. Let's talk about your amazing wife. Now, you've mentioned this in the past. She was instrumental to your journey and all the challenges that come with prostate cancer. So what advice now do you have for the caregivers out there, for their families?
My wife has been terrific through this whole thing. She was the one, to give you a little example of what she was dealing with me. And, every time we reminisce about it, she just shakes her head and goes, you weren't easy. I didn't want her involved. I needed to do it myself. And she fought me on it, to the extent that after I had my biopsy, I was like, I'm going to go out and run 8 miles. I'm fine. The urologist called and I didn't get back to him right away. And she's like, you need to call this guy. You need to find out. I go, I don't have cancer. It's fine. I'm good. Well, lo and behold, if I didn't listen to her, it could have dragged on a lot longer. I think for the caregivers, you have to be understanding that it's such an emotional and sensitive diagnosis for a man. It really is. And, if I fought it in a lot of ways to, try to be Tarzan and swing through the trees and blow through it. But you really need, the caregivers need to understand that everyone that's diagnosed is going to deal with it differently. Some are going to want your help. Some are not going to want your help. And I think the only thing you can do is, as a caregiver, is be sensitive to that and understand it's more than just a physical thing. It's more of a emotional thing too. So you got to be sensitive to that, like really any sickness or any diagnosis of cancer.
Right. Too true. So a few months back, you joined our CEO, Jamie Burse, on Zero's podcast, Zero Prostate Cancer Uncensored. So you mentioned a story in which you had a mentor and how he helped you. Tell us about your relationship with your mentor.
I really have had multiple mentors. Yeah. And I think going back to your last question, that's what I would really recommend to any man that is diagnosed, whether it's someone who's gone through it, multiple people, because you want to hear everyone's story. And I think one thing you'll learn if you're diagnosed and you don't know what to do is to get that mentor, get that someone that you could open up to. I've had multiple mentors. One was another broadcaster in the NBA who, I told this story many times. I'm not going to do it again. But Kobe, Shaq. I had friends who I went to college with who had gone through the surgery. I had multiple people that I was really relying on to walk me through the process. And, you pay it forward. I now have a lot of people calling me and asking me, my opinion, and everyone's different. So, you need the mentor. You need somebody to, ease your mind and understand what you've gone through. Everybody's symptoms are different. Pre-op, post-op, you need to talk to, and when you talk to a lot of people, you realize, what, all these, symptoms, whether it's incontinence, impotence, it all, everybody goes through it. So, it's part of the process. It's a healing process. And the only ones that could really help you are these mentors that have been through it. And you'll see, one guy will say, hey, I didn't have that. I wasn't wet in the bed at night. Well, I was, and once you hear that from someone, it's almost, it validates not only what they're going through emotionally, but, what they're going through physically, which as a man, it's just so strange. But, you deal with it.
Yeah. And Zero does offer this peer-to-peer support, exactly the way that you're talking about, through our mentor program. So for those of you who are watching and are considering a mentor, we can help you out. Go to ZEROcancer.run. Thank you so much, Glenn, for being here. Do you have anything else you'd like to share with our participants?
Well, first of all, again, get tested.
Yeah.
Don't play around with it. Don't sit on it. And, the Zero organization has been, just an incredibly supporting organization, not just to encourage you to get testing, but to provide you with the resources while you're getting tested, when you get a diagnosis, post-diagnosis. I think it's a fabulous organization because it does meet the needs of the prostate cancer patient and survivor and caretaker. It kind of hits, all the major buttons. So don't be afraid to rely on Zero, and contact Caitlin or Mary and anybody else that's involved. Sean and Jamie and Colony, you guys have been great. Like, we're all family, and we want to be your family. That would be my message. We want to be your family for those men that have been in the early stages, the middle stages, pre-surgery, post-surgery. We're here and we can help you.
Yeah, exactly. Well, thank you again so much for joining us, sharing your story. Be sure to check out Glenn's episode of Zero Prostate Cancer Uncensored at ZEROcancer.run/podcast to hear his unfiltered account of post-treatment life, and hopefully catch him at a Wizards game soon when it's safe to do so.
So, Caitlin, now my question to you is, I'm going to leave this up to you.
Okay.
You ready? You sitting down?
I got nowhere else to go.
When I get hit in the pie, with the pie in the face, do I wear a mask or don't wear a mask?
Well, I think that's up to you. You have to make
No,
that.
I'm putting it on you. I'm putting it on you. Mask or maskless?
If it's in a safe, social distant environment without a mask, I think that's the best way.
Okay. We'll have.
But if it's not in a safe and social distant environment, wear the mask.
Gotta wear the mask. Okay. All right.
Times nowadays.
It's an important
decision. You got to make that decision.
Important decision to make.
Yeah, exactly. And also tune in to later in the show to see Glenn Concert get a pie to the face.
Anything for you guys.
Hello, everyone. I'm Tracy Cesaretti, the Vice President of Events here at Zero, the End of Prostate Cancer. Every year at our DC Run Walk, we honor all of our prostate cancer patients and survivors during our fabulous survivor ceremony. This year, we have asked our virtual participants to tell us who they'd like to recognize during the celebration, since we aren't there in person to do it together. Here are some of our Zero staff reading those Zero Strong names. You can participate too by telling us who you're Zero Strong for in the comments, and I can't wait to see who you are Zero Strong for today.
Misty Edwards is Zero Strong for her dad, Pineapple.
Leslie Kerr is Zero Strong for her boss.
Linda Barsow is Zero Strong for Charles Eaton.
Connie McNair is Zero Strong for her husband.
Joanna Anderson is Zero Strong for John Philippin.
Alicia Turner is Zero Strong for Pep.
Eric Lindbergh is 0 strong for his Uncle Wayne.
Julie Rodriguez is 0 strong for her dad.
Ben McNair is 0 strong for his dad.
Hello everyone, it's Colony from Nafe Nuggets, and I'm here to show some 0 love, some 0 strongs for 2 men who are fighting prostate cancer right now. Their names are John Merman and James Curry Shelby, Melissa's family. We're here for you. You're not in this battle alone. And then I also wanted to send out a 0 strong and people that we are fighting in tribute to, and that is Gil Spivey and Costas Lambert, otherwise known as Gus. We miss you terribly, and we're fighting in your honor. Thank you all. 0 strong.
On this Father's Day weekend, we are 0 strong for all of the dads out there that have touched our lives.
Hi everyone, my name is Kate Gibbons and I'm the Patient Education and Program Manager here at Zero. Today, as we celebrate our Run Walk, we wanted to make sure that you know that your donations are having an incredible impact on the prostate cancer community. You can clearly see this through 2 of our programs, our Mentor program and our Caregiver Connector program. Both of these programs are helping people currently during the COVID-19 outbreak. So 2 people who can tell us a little bit more about these programs are Debra Mclean and Bob Parker. Bob has been a Zero mentor since 2018, and Debra just recently began her role as a caregiver mentor. Welcome to you both. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you. Thank you for having us. Yay.
Yeah, absolutely. Now let's start first with you, Bob. So could you please take a few minutes to share with everyone your prostate cancer journey?
Well, it started 16 years ago in 2004. I had at that time a family physician who did not believe in PSA testing. And so I hadn't had a PSA test in 5 years. I changed doctors, got a PSA test, and then subsequently the PSA was high enough that it was felt I should have a biopsy, which I did. It turned out I was a Gleason score 7 and stage 4. So this was serious stuff. And then the question was, what do I do? Well, the urologist who'd done my biopsy only did about maybe 10 prostatectomies a year up here in Taos. And I asked him, do you mind if I get a second opinion? He said, no, not at all. So I went to Santa Fe and met with 2 urologists and a radiation specialist down there. All 3 of them said, we don't think you're eligible for a prostatectomy. Why? Because if the prostate cancer has metastasized and gotten into any lymph nodes, all we're going to do when we open you up is send a lymph node out to the lab. If it comes back positive, we'll sew you up and send you home. So the decision was made with them and with Debra that probably radiation was the best way forward. And as I said, this was 16 years ago. So I started a course of 45 radiation treatments down in Santa Fe. It went very well, and following that, I went on intermittent hormone therapy and anti-androgen therapy, and I would, the first round was about 9 months, and then I had 22 months off of any therapy. And then I went back on it, and each time the holiday period was shorter and shorter until about 12 years ago, it was no longer working. And there was some evidence that my prostate cancer had metastasized into other soft tissues in the body. Luckily, there was no evidence of the cancer in bones. I went up to Mayo Clinic in Rochester and had a very specialized PET scan up there, which is able to trace the prostate cancer cells throughout the body. And indeed, I did have metastasizing down near the base of my spine, near my rectum. And then the question was, well, can we radiate that also? And the answer was no. It was too close to the rectum, too close to the bladder. So I went back on hormone therapy indefinitely. This was, in those days, it's the same today. It's called Lupron Depot shot, and got one every 6 months. I still do. And then we discovered from that PET scan that the cancer had metastasized either side of my aorta in lymph nodes, about 9 on one side, 15 on the other. And I elected to have surgery to remove those lymph nodes up at Mayo Clinic. It went very well. And then we came back home. And that worked for quite some time, for about 2 years. And then my PSA started to go back up again. So it was up and down, up and down, up and down. And the intervals of the down period were shorter and shorter. And it was determined that I probably needed to go on a course of chemotherapy, which I did a little over 2 years ago. I breezed through chemo. It was absolutely, I'd almost say wonderful. A wonderful staff, wonderful nurses, a very good oncologist. And coincidentally, I also went on a ketogenic diet and lost all the weight that I had gained. I fasted 2 days before a chemo treatment and a day afterwards. My blood counts remained absolutely perfect all the way through. And then afterwards, the question is, what do I do? Well, both Mayo and St. Vincent's Cancer Center in Santa Fe said, we want you to go on Zytiga, which is effectively a heavy-duty hormone, and I've been on it ever since then. I've had very few side effects except weight gain. My PSA has remained undetectable. Am I cured? I don't know. It doesn't make any difference to me because it's been an incredibly wonderful, creative journey. And I think one of those things is I've had fabulous support from Debra. And I'm also a person that doesn't dwell on all the downsides of being sick or ill. I have a life that I want to lead and have basically been able to continue doing that. So for 16 years, I feel phenomenally lucky and very, very grateful to all of my caregivers and the doctors. Very grateful.
Great. Thank you, Bob. Thank you so much for sharing all of that with us. I do want to talk a little bit now about the Zero Mentor program. In 2018 was when you became a Zero Mentor, and that was back towards the beginning of the program. So tell us a little bit about what made you want to join the program, what made you want to be a part of it, what made you want to be a Zero Mentor?
I was a teacher for 25 years at the university level. And my biggest rewards in teaching was when a student would tell me, wow, that was a fabulous talk today, even though I may not have thought so. But for me, the reason that I decided to become a mentor, and I'd gotten to know the folk at Zero and had been to at least one, if not two of the summits, I felt it was fundamentally a way for me to give back, and especially to newly diagnosed men who might initially be scared out of their wits. And they may or may not have received good medical advice. They may not have had complete support from their partner or their spouse. And they may not have known where to go to find resources and better support. So fundamentally, that's why I decided to enlist in the mentor program.
And now, Bob, did you have anything else that you wanted to share with us about the mentor program and your experience?
Yes, there's just several things. Very briefly, I've been very fortunate to have 6 mentees under the Zero mentoring program. And I've also had 2 or 3 unofficial mentees who are friends of friends. So that's been very rewarding for me. With respect to the COVID-19 virus, I have 2 relatively new mentees who were scared stiff, not just because of the onset of prostate cancer, but because they were afraid of going ahead with treatment during this pandemic. And as my oncologist said, we can't stop the clock just because of the pandemic. We just have to take extra precautions. And to the best of my knowledge, both of those mentees have now gone forward with their treatment protocols. So, but it's a scary thing and hopefully I've been able to kind of offer the emotional support and just nudge them over the bar so that they could feel at least semi-comfortable about moving forward.
Great, and I'm so grateful. We as Zero are so grateful to have had you be able to support these people, these men, the 6 mentees that you've had, as well as the ones specifically during the COVID-19 outbreak. So thank you. Thank you, Bob, for your dedication. Thank you for being a part of the mentor program. We're very, very grateful to have you, for sure. And now we'll ask Debra some questions. Now, Debra, you just completed your caregiver mentor training. Congratulations, and thank you so much for being a part of the program. Would you mind sharing with myself and the others that are tuning in today kind of why you chose to be a caregiver mentor?
I think you could say that it's giving back, just as Bob said, giving back. But also, even though Bob talked about his journey and said it was a great journey and a good journey, there were many times that it was up and down, and it was hard. It was hard living with somebody and not knowing what to do and feeling emotional yourself and not necessarily being able to get the emotional support that I needed at the time. So when the program came up, I thought, I wanted this when I was, in the more active stage of Bob's protocol. And so I wanted to be part of giving to it. And I also get a fair amount from it still, because it reassures me that my feelings too are validated by talking to others.
Now, Bob and Debra, I know that you're both supporting mentees right now during the COVID-19 outbreak. Bob, I know that you mentioned a little bit about what some of your mentees are going through, and I know that you guys can't share specifics as to privacy concerns, but would you mind sharing with us some of the concerns or some of the issues that you've heard come from some of your mentees during this particular time?
Well, maybe if I could go first, I'll just chat on that a little bit, because at the outset, when I received my first contact was right at the beginning of the pandemic. And there was a lot of fear around the pandemic and what it meant for our loved one who was going through protocol, and whether they were going to be safe getting their treatment, and how susceptible they were because their system is compromised, et cetera, et cetera. As the time has gone on, it's kind of been interesting. I think we are now living in a new understanding, and knowing that, this little virus isn't going to come in our door. And that, if we keep safe, our partners will be safe. And we also know that there are a lot of protocols that are really being taken by the healthcare system. So I think there's a little more confidence now, and not as great a fear as it was at the outset. So that's what I've noticed.
2 mentees. One had an option to go to a very large institution. It was going to be a 2.5-hour drive for him. He lives in the backwoods by himself, and He finally opted not to do that, but to go to a smaller cancer facility that's only about half an hour, 40 minutes away for his radiation treatment. And he specifically did that because he felt he would feel safer than having to go into a very large city, everything that's associated with that, the parking, going into the facility, everything. And the other mentee was a somewhat similar situation, the other side of the country. He came into all of this through a back door. In other words, he didn't originally go to a cancer center that specialized in prostate cancer. And again, it would have been probably an airplane flight away if he'd gone to a larger center that specialized. So he too opted to stay with the small cancer center, even though they don't specialize particularly in prostate cancer. But he's getting CyberKnife. And there's a big difference between getting on a plane or driving for 4 or 5 hours versus 30 minutes away. And, he's just started his treatments, and I don't know, I've forgotten how many more he has. But he said the same thing. It will make me feel safer. So that's been one result of people undertaking treatment during the COVID-19. And in both cases, these people live in semi-rural or a small town environment. So, they're not confronted by living in Manhattan and having very few options.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you for sharing, and thank you for supporting people through the concerns that they have during COVID-19 and outside of the COVID-19 pandemic as well. Lastly, is there any advice that either of you would like to share with those that are watching right now, whether it's a prostate cancer patient, a survivor, caregivers, loved ones tuned in as part of our community?
Well, I would say know that you don't have to do this on your own, but through the Zero Prostate Cancer program, you can talk to somebody, and that's often what people just want to do, is just talk and have somebody listen and share and know that their experiences are similar and that it's okay.
Yeah, I would echo that and say the Zero's 360 program is wonderful to offer a little bit more technical support and guidance for newly diagnosed men. And the other thing I would say is life is impermanent itself, and it's all a journey, and there's no guarantees. But approaching your prostate cancer in a positive manner, taking the advice of one or more medical experts is a wonderful asset that we have, that so many people in other parts of the world don't have. So, and the last thing is, if you think you have any symptoms, get your PSA test ASP. Don't put it off for 5 years, irrespective of what your family physician may have told you.
Well, thank you. Thank you both so much. Thank you for being here. We're so grateful to the both of you. The impact that you have on men battling prostate cancer, as well as the loved ones that are taking care of them, is invaluable. So thank you both so much. And if anyone would like to learn more about the Mentor program, the Caregiver Connector program, or as Bob mentioned, the Zero 360 program, or any of the other support programs that we have here at Zero, please check out our website at ZEROcancer.run, or you can email me directly at kate@ZEROcancer.run.
And thanks for everything you do.
Thank you.
All right, first I want to thank everyone for donating to this amazing cause. Zero prostate cancer is really what we're all trying to shoot for here. I want to thank everyone for donating to this year's virtual, and I use that word loosely, virtual capital area Zero Prostate Run Walk. It's been a great event for the last couple of years. I'm so proud to be involved with this organization. And the great thing is that we met our financial goals this year. I'm so glad to be a part of, although I don't really understand this whole pie for prostates thing. You know, I know Dr. Gandhi took a pie in the face the last year, and all of a sudden it exploded into this whole thing. But I love what we're doing this year. I love the fact that it's virtual. And I think, even though I committed to Dr. Gandhi that I would take a pie in the face, the great thing is that he cannot come to my house because this is virtual, so I can't get hit with a pie. At least I don't think I can. Ah! Well, I guess I can. Dr. Gandhi, I did this for you, and I did this for all of our prostate cancer, it's in my nose, all of our prostate cancer survivors and caregivers and people going through it right now. Hang in there with us.
We are so glad that you're joining us today for Zero's first ever virtual Run Walk celebration here in DC. And we are having so much fun. We are keeping this celebration going. So be sure to join us back here in just a few minutes for more fun and for more fundraising.
We'll also have a live update on how much we've raised here in Washington, DC. And for those of you in Salt Lake City, we're really looking forward to your celebration. That kicks off at noon Eastern and 10 a.m. Mountain Time.
And thank you again to everyone here in the DC area and to all of those people around the country who've been tuning in for this awesome celebration. Remember, if you're watching on Facebook, please share this video right now. You can even host a watch party so we can get more people in on the action today.
And we can't drive this home enough. If you're running, walking, or doing some creative fundraising today, we want to see it all. So post on all of your social media channels and don't forget to tag us at ZeroCancer and use our hashtag #ZeroStrong. You can still donate as well by going to our DC Run Walk homepage, ZeroCancer.run/DC.
And we absolutely must say thank you again to all of our local DC partners. This DC virtual Run Walk would not have happened without all of your support.
We also want to thank our national partners, Astellas, Pfizer Oncology, Bayer, Tolmar, FixIncontinence.com, edcure.org, and Spacer Hydrogel.
And a huge shout out again to our premier partner, AbbVie. For myself, Caitlin Murphy, my co-host Jamie Burse, and Dr. Neela Gandhi, thank you for staying Zero Strong and for watching today. We leave you now with some beautiful images of people who have been fundraising and spreading our Zero Strong message over the last few weeks. See you back here in just a few minutes while I tally the fundraising totals. Bye!
Woo! Zero Strong. Woo!
Joy somehow. It's been too long since we were here together now. The clouds won't rain on us again. No pain awaits around the bend. It feels so good to be with you. We're living a perfect 10. Good times, good friends, they're here to stay. A good day today. Skies, the sun won't go away. A good day today.